Hey everyone, I'm Candace. I'm the AmeriCorps Farm to School member that partners with FoodRight. I'm actually going to show you today how to take some of your garden harvests and transform it into a delicious snack in the kitchen. So if you haven't seen the videos, we decided to grow a garden in my own personal backyard that is themed for a particular snack. We call it like a snack garden. And if you only have a little bit of space to grow food, you're not sure what you want to grow, maybe you might consider next year growing a garden that's themed around a particular summer snack that you love and enjoy. A summer snack could be like a Greek pasta salad, or tzatziki dip with cucumbers, or salsa if you love spicy food, or jalapeno poppers. And you all on our social media account voted on this and decided that I was going to grow something called a Caprese Salad snack garden, and that is what I did this summer. And today we're in the kitchen, not in the garden, because I'm going to show you how to cook or prepare a Caprese snack. A Caprese salad is usually made up of tomatoes as the main ingredient and some fresh mozzarella cheese as the other main ingredient, which is right here. We're putting a little bit of a different fresh spin on it. I really wanted to highlight the delicious flavors of herbs because I grow a lot of herbs in my backyard garden. They don't take up much space and they're very easy to grow, so I love growing herbs. So this Caprese salad we're calling it Caprese and herb salad with a balsamic drizzle because it will highlight all the fresh flavors from the garden. It'll have three components, this Caprese salad. It'll have the main components of the salad, which would be the tomatoes and the mozzarella. And then on top will be an herb, a marinated herb salad to put on top. And then on top of that, we're gonna do a balsamic drizzle, just to make it extra fun. And I know today is September 22nd. My tomatoes in my garden are still ripening and going strong. I don't know about yours. Comment down below, tell us how your tomato plants are doing. My herbs are still going okay. The oregano is looking really good in my garden. It must not mind the cooler temperatures, but I will say the basil, I picked it this morning. It's on its last leg. They're looking a little, I don't know if they're looking sad because they're just at the end of their life cycle or they don't enjoy these cooler temperatures, but basil is one of those herbs that prefers hot temperatures. So this is truly a last hurrah for this snack. But it's delicious and I want to show you how to make it because it's super fun and easy. And if you ever decide to grow a Caprese snack garden like I did, don't wait until September to eat it. You could start preparing this snack and feeding it to your family or your friends as soon as your tomatoes in your garden are ripe, so end of July. And you know, as you keep wanting to harvest your ripened tomatoes, keep making this Caprese snack. If I wanted to, I could probably make this snack once a week or once every 2 weeks from the end of July up through October if I wanted to. So it's a super fun way to maximize your use of your garden. So first we're going to make the balsamic drizzle that's going to go on top of this snack, and it's a little bit tricky, so I want to make the drizzle and kind of let it reduce down. We're calling it a drizzle because it's going to be balsamic vinegar and sugar, just two ingredients that we combine, put it over a low flame and give it a few minutes to reduce down until it's kind of like a thin syrup. It's a little tricky and I've only cooked this, I don't know, five times, and I would say about half of those times I didn't quite get this drizzle right. Either it was overly reduced, meaning it became too syrupy and thick, or it didn't reduce enough and it was too thin. So we want to hit that happy medium where the balsamic vinegar and the sugar combine until it's the right consistency. So I'm going to show you how I do it here in our kitchen. We have a pretty hot burner, so it might only take me about 5 minutes to reduce it to the right viscosity. But at your home kitchen, it might take you 10 to 15 minutes. So the first, you're going to grab your balsamic vinegar and your sugar. You want to grab your liquid measuring cups if you have it, your regular measuring cups. Super simple. You just take half a cup of balsamic vinegar. And honestly, you could use any vinegar that you like. It doesn't have to be balsamic. I'm trying to go with like a Greek theme, Mediterranean theme with my oregano that I have here. So I'm going to use balsamic. Put that in the pan. I'm actually going to go ahead and turn the flame on. Okay. I'm gonna keep it as low as I can. Don't want to burn it. And 2 teaspoons of sugar is all you're gonna need. Does not have to be like super exact, we're not baking here. And I would say that this little hint of sweetness is perfect as it kind of reflects the sweetness in the tomatoes. Does a good job of making the tomatoes taste delicious, but not covering the delicious tomato flavor. So you could take a spoon and you could stir the sugar in. I'm actually just gonna lift it off the fire and swirl it around. We want the sugar to be dissolved. I don't see that it's dissolved, so actually we'll stir it. So as you can see, I'm using a really small saucepan. You don't need a big saucepan because we're just trying to get a little bit here, just enough to drizzle on top. And while that's starting to get going, let me show you what other ingredients. I have my tomatoes from my garden. I'm only going to use 3. I would suggest small or medium-sized tomatoes. I actually have only these like tinier tomatoes left in my garden, so I'm actually going to make a smaller caprese salad. But any size tomato would work. If you have huge heirloom like slicer type tomatoes, go for it. You just wouldn't want to use really, really tiny tomatoes. You could make a caprese salad with a tiny like cherry-like tomato if you wanted. Maybe that would be more like a little appetizer, like you put it on a toothpick with the little balls of mozzarella cheese. That could be really fun. But today I suggest small to medium-sized tomatoes. That's what I have in my garden. So I've washed those and dried them with paper towel along with a lemon. Oh, now it's getting going, see? Don't let me get distracted, Mary Kate.
No, I was gonna say, I can hear it.
Last week I tried this in this kitchen and it went pretty quickly. So you're gonna want a lemon. You'd also would want to grab some olive oil, your herbs from your garden if you have it, or herbs from the grocery store, nothing wrong with that. I have basil and oregano here, and we'll go over that in a few seconds. You'll want the sugar like I've already mentioned, and some black pepper for on top, and that's it, you guys. I think I've said before, but I love growing herbs, and I think herbs are a great thing to grow when you're newer to gardening or you don't have a ton of money to spend, because as soon as the plant is well established and enjoying the sunlight in your yard, you can start harvesting off of it, and you can keep harvesting off of it. As long as you don't harvest more than half the plant at a time, it should be able to bounce back, and as long as it's in a place in your yard with enough sunlight and you're keeping it happy. It's just like a herb start costs a few dollars at the nursery in the spring, but that few dollars goes a long way in your kitchen because you can keep using it. It's good for you, it tastes good, it's fresh. So I love a good herb garden, and even if you don't have much space to garden, you can grow herbs in little pots and planters. Mary Kate has her porch area outside of her apartment and has the ability to grow some herbs out there, so herb garden is the way to go. Pretty low maintenance. Some herbs come back every year, and other herbs you need to grow annually every year, so that's also something to keep in mind. I actually, will be honest, I don't know if the oregano I planted is going to come back. Maybe we can look that up and post it.
Yeah.
But the basil that I planted is an annual, so as soon as it gets cooler, like I mentioned, the cooler nights here that are here all of a sudden, that basil is not going to make it through the winter.
It is a perennial, but grown as an annual on colder climates.
Ah, that's why I didn't know. Okay, so this balsamic drizzle, it's reduced quite a bit because it's a warm burner, and as it cools, it thickens. So I actually think it's ready to start cooling. So on this spoon, you can see it's still drippy, which is fine. You don't want it to be so thick it's not dripping off the spoon, but I think that residual heat will carry it over. I'd rather err on the side of it being a little too thin than being overly thick. So I'm gonna turn this off. And we are going to start on the next bit of the caprese salad. We'll leave this over here. So next, I'm going to slice the tomatoes into equal round slices. Since my tomatoes are on the smaller side, I might actually go ahead and slice 4 tomatoes. And the idea is we are going to alternate the tomatoes with the mozzarella cheese. I purchased mozzarella cheese that are pre-sliced just because I think that's easier. You don't have to purchase pre-sliced mozzarella, but I thought it was much easier so I don't have to cut them. And this is an 8-ounce package. If you have huge tomatoes, you could buy a 16-ounce package of pre-sliced mozzarella, but this is a good size for my smaller tomatoes that I've been growing in the garden. You want a really sharp knife for tomatoes. Always keep your knife sharp if you can. So what I do is I use the pincher grip on my knife, so thumb and forefinger on the chef's knife, and then grab it like this, and that stabilizes the knife. And then you use the bear claw method with the fruits so that you don't accidentally hurt your finger. I cut the stem side off, we don't want that. Put it to the side, I'll compost that. And then I start to slice it up. I like to do thinner slices versus thicker slices because I think that way the dressing we're gonna make can get into the crevices. And I try to make them as equal as possible. I'm actually not going to use this end. I'll put it over here. Yeah, a sharp knife is key. It can be tricky cutting a tomato if you don't have a sharp knife because the skin can get slippery, so the sharper the knife the better. And I'm using just my eyes to try to make it the same, similar thickness. I would say this is like a 1/4 inch slices. If you guys are watching and you grow your own tomatoes or you buy heirloom type tomatoes from the farmer's market or just interesting varieties, what is your favorite type of tomato? I would love to hear. If it were up to me, if I lived in a warmer climate, I think I would grow the really interesting, like huge heirloom tomatoes with all the different funky stripes and things. But I find for me, I've been gardening a few years. I'm not a seasoned gardener, I'm still pretty new. But for me, the medium to smaller tomatoes, our season is kind of short, you know? It's not that long. I have to start my seeds indoors. The nights get cooler more quickly here. I just find that the smaller tomatoes, I get them sooner and they just like it better here in Wisconsin. So these smaller to medium size is what I like to grow. I just find that they do better here in the cooler climate and shorter season of Wisconsin. So we're actually going to go ahead and start arranging our Caprese salad. And all you simply do is put a slice of tomato down and then a slice of cheese and alternate. This. That's the other thing I love about this snack is it's visually appealing. Fresh from the garden, visually appealing. Let me do an X. I have extra. This is also an appropriate snack for Wisconsin because it's the cheese state. Who doesn't love fresh mozzarella cheese? Right, this is good. I have a few extra tomatoes, a little bit extra cheese, just because my plate is smaller. As you can tell, it's not an exact recipe. It does not have to be exact at all. I'll go ahead and show you my favorite way to chop the herbs. So I harvested these in my garden this morning. This is the Greek oregano. Easiest way to get the little leaves off the stem is to go backwards on them. So I pluck the leaves off like so. This was my first year growing oregano. I really enjoyed growing it because super low maintenance. I never had any issues with it getting diseased or eaten by any pests or bugs. Even the rabbits and squirrels left it alone. And it kind of grew low to the ground, didn't take up a whole lot of space. it was very unfussy. I like it. I wouldn't say I use oregano a ton in my cooking. Maybe I should try cooking more Italian food. Maybe if I grew enough of it, I could dry it and like give my friends fresh dried from the garden oregano. Fresh oregano tastes pretty similar to dried oregano, but it is a little bit just more in your face with oregano flavor. So we're actually going to mince this oregano. I'm gonna get it into a little pile and cut it into just small enough pieces that we want to make a little herb garnish for the top of the tomato and mozzarella. I like to kind of pile up my leaves, try to roll it into a circle. Then I use the pincher grip and the bear claw. And I go down the line. Slice it that way. Tricky with the small leaves. Then I take my hand to stabilize the knife. Trying to get small pieces, mixed pieces of herb. All right, smelling good. Now we'll try to get a similar size for the basil. Basil leaves are a little bit bigger. So I've washed these and now I'm pulling the leaves off the stem. I'm stacking them because what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll them and chiffonade them into ribbons. Last taste of fresh basil for the year. All right. I think once we chiffonade this basil, this drizzle will be ready. But yeah, so what I did is I stacked the leaves. I'm rolling them the best I can. And then if you want just ribbons, you just cut down the little roll that you made, and then you would get little ribbons of basil. If you want smaller minced pieces of basil, feel free. You can do the same technique where you keep chopping it. I think I'm going to do that this time. I know most people are thinking like soup weather, tea weather, coffee, it's starting to get cool, but sometimes it's nice to also say goodbye to the last summer harvests. The last of the summer flavors. All right, so we have this minced up. All that's left to do is to make our little dressing that we're going to mix gently with these herbs. So you take a little bowl, you take a lemon. We just need a quarter lemon. We don't need a whole lot of lemon. I actually like to cut both ends of my lemon off. Just a personal preference. You do not need to do that. And then to stabilize the lemon, I put the flat side down. And I cut down the center. Since we only need a quarter slice, I do that. And then to make it easy on myself, I just cut one more time. So this lemon has seeds in it, I see. So when I'm squeezing the lemon wedge into the bowl to get the lemon juice out of it, I like to use my fingers as a strainer. Just to make sure that the seeds don't get in there. And sometimes some lemons are really juicy and some are not that juicy. If you find that you're trying to squeeze this quarter of a lemon, or you have a very small lemon you're using, you don't have to follow the recipe directly. Or if you're just a lover of lots of lemon, you could use a little bit more lemon juice. This lemon isn't super juicy, so I might use just a little bit more. And lemon is not something we can grow here. Or I guess you could if you brought it inside your basement. Winter, but it would die in the winter. So obviously we got that from the store. Okay, so we have our lemon juice, and we just need a cup of olive oil. Right. So now the lemon and the olive oil is combined. You could whisk it with a whisk, or if you just have a fork handy. I'm going to tilt the bowl to the side so that it's all on one side, and I'm just going to vigorously use my fork to emulsify the two. Sometimes it's nice to have a medium size or bigger bowl so that the dressing doesn't fly all over the place. I don't know if you guys can tell, it's creamy looking, so that's when you know it's like it's getting emulsified there. And now I'm going to put my herbs in here. I gently combine the herbs with the dressing. You don't want to be too rough. Like I said, that basil can bruise easily. So I'm just gently combining the two. Make a little dressing to go on top. And you guys, we're ready to plate. We're ready to finish plating up here. So what I'm gonna do is spoon or fork, I suppose. Pour this herb salad on top. I was liberal with the olive oil because I just love how that coats the cheese and the tomato. And we've got our balsamic drizzle. I just take it straight from the little saucepan and I pour it over in a zigzaggy fashion. You might want to let it cool for a few minutes if it just came off the burner. But that's it. We have our caprese and herb salad with balsamic drizzle, a nice summer treat, and that's it for today.